Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. We are going to be doing a masculine, feminine, non-binary energy update. We're going to be starting right now with masculine energy. We are going to be utilizing the Aquarian Tarot to do that reading. We're going to start right now with the headspace of the masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. 3 cards we have coming through right now for masculine. We've got the 5 of Wands in its reversal. We also have the 6 of Cups in its upright. We also have the Knight of Cups in its reversal. This is a continuation on some of the work that we saw that was occurring over the last few days, particularly and especially in relationality to masculine headspace. One of the things that we were seeing that was coming through in a big way right now, and I need to point this out, there's a lot of disambiguation in relationality to what the energies need right now. And for a lot of the masculine energy, I feel like there's something that is happening, particularly in these energetic cycles, that has to do with the ability to effectively articulate and communicate upon the emotions. Now the thing that we keep on seeing, and I feel like this is a continuation of what we were seeing that's happening in a lot of the relationship path work as well right now. It's the understanding that when we are effectively trying to communicate our feelings, it's twofold work. It's not enough to effectively articulate the fact that one has feelings, right? That is a major accomplishment. But it's also the ability to articulate, to move the emotions into a space that allow for the context of something creative or productive to energetically emerge from them, right? This is often, and I feel like this can sometimes feel very energetically frustrating because, we can't energetically control the things that we feel. But the ability to heal is not about trying to control our emotions, right? If you try to look at healing from the space of controlling emotions, you're gonna be here for a very long time because because the thing is, those who feel like, and I need to point this out, those who feel like they have control over their emotions are often misarticulating the fact that they're actually suppressing them. Right? And when you suppress something, you don't get stronger in the ability to energetically feel it, right? And so, I feel like there's a lot of that work that we see that the active masculine is doing in relationality to finding the ability to feel the emotions, but also be safe in the modality by which they're experiencing them. I also keep on getting this message coming through as it relates to positive vulnerability and negative vulnerability. And we need a word for it. It's very frustrating that we don't have a word for it because I just keep on seeing that masculine has been in a state of deep contemplation upon the reactivity, right? The reactivity that allows for the ability to feel very like, I keep on hearing that fast action, as it were, that allows one to move very energetically quickly versus that same modality that often creates a space that we break or damage things in the experience, by which the fact that when we feel emotionally vulnerable, it can bring up a lot of the same energy as when we feel physically threatened or physically triggered. And so I keep on getting, this is the masculine energy that understands that when we allow ourselves to feel our emotions, our brain has more of an opportunity to disambiguate between the points between, right? The observation, relationality to what feels energetically stabilizing and supportive to the self, right? That feeling of vulnerability that actually fortifies because it allows us to kind of understand what we energetically care about versus that volatility that often creates for that, like I keep on hearing, that often it creates for that explosive momentum that is often needed in relationality to how one is being energetically reactive towards things. And so I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy, that observation of kind of working through those experiences or circumstances or situations often feels akin to, like I keep on hearing, Like, I wouldn't even be surprised right now if there's masculine energy that's going through some deep contemplation in relationality to past experiences where they weren't as energetically attenuated to do that. Because I keep on getting, often with the, like, I feel like every time I read for masculine energy, it feels like there's a lot of frustration in relationality to something, to some type of understanding of the self that they had to come upon on their own. And that's what I keep on getting, because I feel like there's so much, like, it's almost it's a frustration. It's like kind of angsty, but I keep on getting the reason it's angsty is because it almost feels like for a lot of masculine energy, feeling like something that they were taught about masculine, like being masculine, was some kind of doctrine of separation, right? And then, like, how can you work towards masculinity that says it's a doctrine of separation and then be surprised when one finds oneself isolated within the context of experiencing it? So I feel like that's a lot of those feelings that are energetically kind of coming up in those modalities. But I keep on getting that even in the space by which they're articulating and communicating that is allowing for healthy counterpart connection to form. Now, this brings us to feminine energy. And for our purposes, we're going to be using the Tarot of the Divine right now for the feminine headspace. Again, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. 3 cards for the headspace of the feminine right now. We've got here the 3 of Swords in its upright. We've got here the 7 of Cups in its reversal. And we've also got here the Queen of Coins in its upright. Now, this is important because I think you've been talking about the fact that, like, the energy right now is all in very different headspaces. Sometimes I read and the individuated energies are in more of an alignment point. Not so much right now. Everything I'm seeing for masculine is really contemplative. Masculine might be in a very, I keep on getting masculine might be in a very contemplative mood. There's no contemplation. There's no time for contemplation right now in the feminine and like activation zone. I see, if anything, for a lot of the feminine energy right now, this just feels like activate. And so there's something that's very, and I told you, like, I keep on reading for the fact, I'm not surprised to see it. We got Venus and Mars in Sag season during Sagittarius. Like, that is all the energy, while masculine right now is much more in that space of Jupiter. That is Jupiter that's retrograding right now in Cancer, right? So you got masculine that's all Jupiter in Cancer, which is like deep thinking, like a lot of that, like thinking about the self. And you got feminine that's just like firing on all engines is what I keep on seeing. So make sure, I'm only saying this to say, if you want to have a deep conversation with someone right now, make sure you lead by asking if they have the bandwidth to have one. Because I can see a lot of room. I'm just telling you right now, I can see a lot of room here for basically miscommunication in relationality to masculine being in more of a somber, like being more in a point of somberness, and feminine working, like I keep on seeing, like working through something in such a way that they're just like boom, 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 right? Like that's a lot of the energy that we see right now. But one of the things we're also identifying and working through has to do, I keep on getting for feminine, this is feminine energy trying to, I keep on getting this space, trying to have, like, feeling the need of working into the context of having to, I keep on getting, like, having to navigate across different spheres is what I keep on seeing. And a lot of that energy that we're effectively seeing right now that's happening for feminine is requiring them to be in a space of like perpetually shifting gears. And so for a lot of the feminine right now, I almost see the energy that's working in that way and thinking about the fact that they'll have time to energetically contemplate later, right? And I feel like even in the space, like the reason I'm articulating this is because the ability, I keep on hearing like the major question, it's okay. And here's the thing, healthy relationship can always occur. We don't always have to be in the same, we don't have to always be in the same energetic alignment, but we make sure that we understand, we navigate another person's headspace with a sense of energetic empathy, is what I keep on seeing. So I feel like there's something really, I feel like there's something energetically important there to kind of to navigate and identify and work through. Now we're going to get to the we're going to get to the non-binary energy, and we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck, borderless. 3 cards for non-binary, please. We've got here the King of Pentacles in its upright, the Tower card in its reversal, and the 6 of Wands in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit about this energy that we're seeing here, because the thing I keep on identifying right now, and this has been a continuation of what we've been seeing with the non-binary energy, they're in a space where, you know, I keep on getting, they're looking like this is the identification point of what non-binary energy is seeking right now in relationship. It's know thyself, right? It's the recognition or the understanding of the ability of counterpart to feel energetically secure within the self. And the reason I keep on seeing this, and it's a continuing, like it almost feels like a continuing conversation, the more that we energetically know ourselves, the more that we're effectively able to become energetically reliable to those that effectively like experience us, is what we see. And that feeling, I keep on getting, that feeling of energetic reliability is something that is articulated as, and this is why you'll often recognize that those that know themselves become energetically reliable, because it's the reliability of understanding the self by which you always know where you energetically stand with another person. And so I feel like there's a lot of that energy that works very hard. Like, I feel like there's a lot of energy there that works very hard on relationship by knowing the self first. And we've been having this continuing conversation that's been coming up over the last few days with this energy about the difference between being self-centered and centered in the self. Now, what is the difference between self-centered and centered within the self? Self-centered is not working through the space of having energetic empathy for those around the self, right? It's not feeling, it's not the ability of being able to navigate others' feelings, right? It's that work or that determination point by which it feels like, I keep on hearing like the erasure of anybody else that is not having the experience of the self. Whereas the oppositional point to that is centered in the self, is a recognition of the person that one is in the context of the energy that is surrounding the self, right? It's different because it's the observation, it's looking at the self as a part of a greater whole, but also feeling the energetic uniqueness point in relationality to what you can bring to circumstances, situations, and opportunities. So for a lot of the energy that's effectively working through that, I keep on seeing they're looking for counterpart energy that is centered within the self. But again, having to navigate the fact that others potentially often come towards them in a self-centered way, which is potentially seeing, well, how do you usually tell that another person is self-centered? Because they only see another person as a means to an end, right? They don't see the energetic being that exists within the context or the framework of the personhood. So that's why I keep on seeing that this is the conversation that a lot of that energy is having. The differentiation point between having to hold themselves at a bit of an energetic distance to build time, to build relationship, because they've been I keep on hearing, they've been the source of other individuals' unhealthy fixation. And the unhealthy fixation is often articulated or amplified by situations or circumstances by which another person does not see a self behind the self, but only sees another person as a means to effectively alleviate some kind of energetic pain that they're feeling. So that's why we keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy working through that, I told you that there was some kind of work I kept on seeing in counterpart having to explain the difference between energy's reservedness that sometimes can be misperceived as aloofness. And this is a lot of that conversation that we see is potentially occurring in those modalities or experiences. Continuing to get clarification, moving back to masculine energy. Can I get 3 cards for masculine? Heart space of the masculine. We're going to be using the tarot of the divine. 3 cards, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. 3 cards right now. We've got the Ace of Swords in its upright. Ooh, we got the 4 of Wands in its reversal. And we've also got the 5 of Cups. Whew. We got the 5 of Cups in its upright. And I got to tell you right now, like what I keep on seeing in relationalities to circumstances or experiences in this way is I feel like there's something really energetically important that we see is potentially occurring in these experiences as it relates to like I keep on seeing, how do I describe this best? Masculine feeling energetically stabilized, working in context with counterpart and I keep on seeing the determination point in relationality to the ability to articulate and identify upon manifestation goals is what I keep on seeing. And I think that this is really important because this is getting back to the fact of the masculine working upon the knowing of the self. Because what happens, like here's the thing, when we don't know the self, we feel energetic fear in committing to anything, right? This is why we talk about, and this is just a sad truth of it, like the ability to facilitate a healthy relationship is entirely based upon the context of being able to understand the self, because that ability of doing so often it's the space by which we feel energetically ungrounded in where we find ourselves. And so I feel like this is a lot of the energy of the masculine working. Like I feel like this is beautiful because this is very similar to what we're seeing right now in the context of the non-binary energy, in the headspace of the non-binary. This is the masculine that's doing the work to be able to determine the difference between the feeling of energetic longing, right? The feeling of energetic longing that we often carry into situations. And this is a problem. If we feel energetically lost within the self, we can find the most perfect relationship on the planet. And we can feel lost within the context of that relationship, specifically and particularly because we don't find ourselves through partnership. We find ourselves in the space of the self. And when we find ourselves, we arrive into healthy relationship because we're not searching for something that's missing. We're looking to we're looking to fulfill something that we're trying to energetically create. So I almost see this in the modality or the experience of the masculine being able to recognize that path work I keep on hearing, should be one that we don't feel like, and this is what happens, because when we talk about manifestation goals and we feel like when we try to hold on to a person, right? This is why we have to heal from coveting. When we want to hold on to a person and we say that we'll do anything, right? That isn't the context by which one builds a healthy relationship, because then that same sense of saying I'll do anything for you will one day become, look what I did for you, right? We don't change our manifestation goals for the sake of building into energetic partnership. We unify upon them first and foremost, and then we effectively flourish in the terms of being able to build upon something that we aspire and desire for together. And so I feel like this is a lot of the masculine energy that's understanding that ability of they're letting go of that aspect of possessiveness in partnership. Right? Because the possessiveness in partnership can often be indicative, right? And it's almost like the masculine saying, like, when I feel energetically possessive, what is the energetic fear behind the point of the of the possession point? Like, that is the understanding or amplification of being able to start to do the work to understand our vulnerability on a deeper level. And so I feel like that's a lot of the energy of the masculine, the healthy masculine energy that's working to facilitate those type of energetic connections. And I keep on getting working through the ability, like this is the energy that says, if I feel good within the context of the self, then I'm able to move towards my destiny with a sense of clarity and purpose. So I feel like that's something that's very beautiful, but it's also like I feel like there's a lot of the masculine that's also healing from wounds in the past where they might not have had that same sense of clarity to a certain extent. Now, continuing to get clarification for feminine energy right now, we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck for the purposes of the heart space of feminine. Can I get 3 cards, please? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. 3 cards for feminine. We've got here the 6 of Swords in its upright. We've got here the 10 of Cups in its reversal. And we also have here the King of Wands in its reversal. So what are we effectively seeing in relationality to the feminine right now? I've got a lot of this energy right now of feminine. Like I feel like this is also like, this is a lot of the feminine energy that's working through, I keep wondering, like working through the difference. And it's interesting because this was the same message that was coming through for masculine a few days ago that's now moved into the feminine's heart space. The difference between protective and protected is what I keep on getting. Because often, and this is what happens with feminine all the time, right? Feminine often recognizes that the frustration point of a lot of the trauma that feminine experiences has everything to do with energy that acutes them. And what does it feel like when energy is being acuted, right? The observation of feeling the sense in relationality to something not feeling, like trying to protect, like the wound that happens from someone that articulates that they're doing something in order to protect you, that you articulate that you don't need energetic protecting from. That is literally the word covet. That's what it means to energetically covet something. It's being able to effectively cover it, right? To say, like, to come into the space by which you articulate upon the fact that another, like someone else needs that type of energetic coverage point, failing to build into the pathwork of consent. Right? Because consent, and when we're energetically protective of one another, then we amplify and articulate upon the significance of honoring each other's choices. So this is why we see that for a lot of the energy of the feminine, working into that context, being able to build into the pathwork of recognizing and identifying the energetic work of counterpart that does not effectively build into that coveting energy, trying to effectively say, oh, I have to acute you by diminishing you and effectively covering you because I get to determine what's important for you because you are not equal to me, so you can't make energetic decisions. But instead, the space by which they build into the context of healthy relationship where they feel energetically protective with counterpart, the energy by which they facilitate and build into the pathwork of being energetically supportive to one another and being able to effectively build into that context of being able to identify and recognize what it means to feel held in that way. And so this is a lot of the energy that says this is the difference between feminine. This is feminine looking for preciousness and partnership. And the space by which we understand and something energetically precious is something that we aspire and desire to see flourish, right? It's the space by which we allow something to evolve and grow. And so for a lot of the feminine and the counterparts energies talking about this is potentially healing. This is potentially feminine healing from trauma in relationality to past experiences by way and by in the directionality of working through the context of understanding. And this is why I feel like a lot of the feminine energy is moving through this, right? That often the sound of trauma being formed is another person saying, I know what's good for you. Right? Because that's not the sound. That's not the sound that we bring into healthy relationship. It's the space by which we articulate and build upon that mutual, like the mutual sense of goodness. And so I feel like there's a lot of feminine that's healing in that way by learning. And I keep on seeing this is them healing trust wounds by building into the context of energy that does not see them as someone that needs to be protective, but someone that another person is energetically protective of. For non-binary energy right now, reading into the heart space of non-binary energy, 3 cards to clarify, please. We're going to be utilizing the Aquarian Tarot. for the heart space of non-binary. 1, 2, 3. We've got the Knight of Wands in its upright. We've got the Star energy, and we've also got the King of Cups in its reversal. Now, this is really important. There's a lot of King energy right now in the non-binary sphere. So what are we effectively seeing in relationality to that? It's more of the continuation of knowing the self, right? It's more of the observation and recognition and identification point of being able to effectively, I keep on hearing like, you know, you can know the self without defining the self. I know that's going to sound a little, and if you understand, if you know what I mean, then you know what I mean, because that's the thing about it. Like, I feel like this is a lot of the energy of non-binary working through the understanding of knowing the self, but also being able to energetically connect with the ineffable parts of the self. Right. And I keep on seeing that's what's like, that is what's very intriguing in relationality to a lot of those relationships, because I keep on seeing that they're effectively looking for counterpart energy by which there is room to explore. And what's interesting about that is the ability to understand oneself further is often requires the observation of knowing oneself firmly. Because the thing is, when you work through a process of transformation, that sense of transformation that we often experience needs to be facilitated in terms of feeling very well grounded in the seat of the self. This is what we talk about in terms of the difference between self-centered versus centered in self, because those that are self-centered only see others as energetic modalities by which they energetically accomplish things, right? It's the observation in relationality to being able to articulate and define what only feels like it serves the context of the self. Whereas being centered in the self is the experience by which one understands one's part in a greater whole, right? It's the understanding in proportionality to the space that it's an orientation in relationality to the space that the part that one the space that one occupies in relationality to everything that energetically happens around the self. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy facilitating and doing that work, that it's interesting because I almost feel like a lot of those relationships are looking for energetic protectors. And it's interesting that there's this sound of protectiveness that's coming through, because when we talk about protectors, it's the space by which protectors effectively are the amplification point of helping identify and recognize the work that this energy feels like they are effectively projection magnets, right? Too frequently, they feel like they are like I keep on hearing, like when someone wants to project and they got nowhere else to project upon, it's very easy to effectively project upon this energy. So that's why I see that for a lot of the energy kind of working through those modalities or experiences, they are looking for energetic counterpart connection that effectively, I keep on hearing that helps, like, and I even told you, like that space by which I almost hear counterpart, like speaking, I keep hearing the difference about speaking about someone and speaking on behalf of someone, which is the space of being able to energetically communicate upon another's distance or why they feel energetically reserved about something. And so I feel like it's like there's something really lovely in relationality to the intuition point of those energetic connections, because they're the like I keep on getting, they're the energy that builds, they're building into relationship that is the understanding or the underscoring of another person, deeply recognizing the trauma by which they were energetically formed, but not just also deeply understanding the trauma by which they were energetically formed, but understanding what they aspire for or what they're working to change and resolve within the self in that context. Now, continuing to get clarification here, moving back into the masculine unconscious space, and we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite system. Whoop. Okay, that's cantilevered. All right, we've got a cantilevered card in the unconscious of the masculine. We've got the Emperor cantilevered. We've got the Ace of Cups, and we've got the Strength card in its reversal. It's make sure if you have an opportunity today that you go and take a peek at today's spread. I'll have it posted as a photo over on the stack. It's interesting that the Emperor card came up cantilevered in its reversal in the unconscious space of the masculine, because this is a lot of the masculine energy that's almost like, I keep on hearing, in order to understand of the self, we have to get out of our own way. Right? That's what a cantilevered energy, that's a little bit of the energetic hurdle that I see that masculine is working towards. How one separates without disassociating is what I keep on seeing. Which is, and I keep on getting this for masculine, because I keep on seeing this is a continuation of what I said about the trouble, the vulnerability gap, which is understanding or working through the context of this is masculine that sometimes feels pulled in two directions, because the masculine being articulated, the demand to always rise to the challenge, if it will, right? How does one rise to the challenge without allowing oneself to become emotionally reactive? How does one rise to the challenge without allowing that same sense of force to apply into spaces or places that one doesn't desire it? You have to feel it to heal it. This is what we mean. That's why disassociating is so dangerous, because here's the thing about it. You can learn how to turn it off like that, can't you? It's easy to turn it off. Keeping it on, but not being energetically affected by it, that is different. And so that's what I keep on seeing that's hard for a lot of the energy. I almost feel like that's the frustration, that's a lot of the rage that masculine is working through, because I feel like for a lot of this masculine energy, they've been learning to turn it off so much that it's instinctual, right? When you feel that sense in trying to turn something off, and you know that there's that energetic switch within the self, it's a lot harder to allow yourself just the space by which you energetically feel something, just the space by which you effectively allow the context of being of feeling the modality of an energetic experience to such an extent. And I feel like that's what's so frustrating about it, because it's not even the fact that masculine feels the sense of having to learn something. They're trying to unlearn something in order to learn something. And so there's a lot of that modality and experience by which I feel like the energy of the masculine, feeling that frustration, but almost feeling the validation point in relationality to pathwork that feels like it's made it harder for them. For feminine energy right now, 3 cards, unconscious of feminine. I'll be utilizing the Aquarian Tarot for the unconscious space of the feminine. We've got the 6 of Wands in its reversal. We've got here the 8 of Cups in its upright. And we also have the 6 of Swords in its upright. So let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the unconscious of the feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. For a lot of the feminine energy, how do I describe this? That's a lot of 6 energy. I gotta tell you right now, there is a lot of 6 energy right now in the feminine sphere. And the thing about I need to point this out. The thing about 6 energy is it's often the articulation point of harmony, right? 6 often speaks to us about the work of finding harmony. And the thing about harmony is, and you always notice this, finding harmony is rarely ever a peaceful journey, right? It's like it allows, like it's like you have to understand harmony, right? Harmony is a lot of moving parts, right? That's what harmony is. It's a lot of things happening at once. It's like that's the thing with harmony. There's like a lot of different things that are happening all at once. And that's what I meant right now in terms of like, listen, I'm just telling you, if you want to have an emotional conversation with feminine right now, make sure that you ask them first if they have the bandwidth. Because I can almost see the feminine being like, can we like I can see the feminine be like, can we please put a pin in the emotional conversation? Because I'm very like, I see a lot of this energy that's working very hard right now in the space of like trying to navigate a lot of, I keep on hearing a lot of harmonious, I keep on hearing like they're working through a lot of like they're working through right now a lot of different harmonics, and I keep on getting that like the space that when, and this is why it's really important not to come into the space of energetically assuming stuff, because I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing this work or potentially facilitating upon something in a certain way, I keep on getting that the energy is working. Like I feel like the energy has been working in relationality to, I keep on seeing like helping others with their anxiety, helping another person, like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of creating this space where I just see that the feminine is kind of working towards love in the context of looking at another and saying, what do you need? Right? Like that's what I keep on seeing with the feminine right now. It's like the feminine that doesn't feel, and this is what we kind of get with like, this is what we have to be conscientious about with Venus and Mars in Sagittarius during Sagittarius season. Like the feminine working through the context of navigating others' energetic needs while also not disassociating from their own, right? This is the feminine, like healing from the misperception that love requires, like I keep on hearing, love requires energetic giving, but not self-sacrifice, right? Because the thing is that I keep on hearing, like the mentality of feeling self-sacrificing is by its very nature energetically divisive, because it often creates a point of energetic anger within us, right? So those modalities or experiences by which the feminine is working to balance, I keep on seeing that this is the feminine that's coming into the space of understanding that feminine being in a state of bliss is also important, because that sense of bliss that we feel extends to everyone around us, right? Because when we get in the mentality of self-sacrificing, what do we often embody? Misery, right? And then you create that horrible vortex where you're doing everything for everyone, but then you're energetically miserable. And then energy goes, what's gotten into them, right? And you're just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, and so I keep on seeing that this is the energy that says, and I like this because this is the energy like very much in Libra. I got to see what Libra is doing right now, because this is the feminine energy that says keeping room for bliss is not selfish for feminine. It's the bliss that magnifies, that radiates to all those around the feminine. So that's a lot of the feminine that says there's room for everybody, but there's also but there's no context of doing things for everyone if you're not operating in a state of bliss as you do it. Because if not, then you create that you're like, I need to point out, when you're doing everything for everyone but you're miserable as you're doing it, you're bringing trauma everywhere. You're just bringing trauma. You're like, would you like some trauma? So there's a lot of that energy that's like working towards like finding that energetic balance of happiness. And so I feel like that is like very heavy in terms of the mindset of the feminine, like trying to work into that context of reserving something for the self, but not feeling bad for doing so, is what I keep on seeing. Like that's what I keep on seeing, that the feminine's trying to energetically alleviate for, saying it's not selfish to desire happiness. Because when we seek happiness for ourselves, we become an example of that joy for everyone around us. Now, continuing to get clarification, bottom of the deck on the non-binary energy, we're going to be utilizing the Tarot of the Divine for that energy right now. 3 cards, please. 1, 2, 3. we got the Knight of Wands. We've got the Judgment card in its reversal. We got the 9 of Swords. You know, I feel like the thing about, like, the thing I keep on picking up, like with non-binary energy here in relationality to the unconscious space, is like, there's like, I don't know why, there's a lot of, how do I describe this? There's a lot of energy that is exhausted. I keep on getting this energy is exhausted with being another person's irony catalyst, is what I keep on hearing. I'm gonna have to investigate that further, which is irony catalyst, which is the space. I feel like I need to point this out. This energy always feels like they're ahead of the curve. This energy always feels the frustration of being energetically ahead of the curve. And being ahead of the curve is a very lonely place to be. Because as you're ahead of the curve, everyone will say that you're going in the wrong energetic direction. It's the modality by which you're simply following the next logical step, and another person says, "Where are you going?" And you're going, "I'm going to the next logical step," and they say, "No, you're not." Right? It's like, no, you're not. It's like, and then you get into this like little heated debate with someone about the next logical step, and then you wait a bit of time, and now everybody's going towards the next logical step, and then somebody, and this is often the space by which the energy is very used to energy coming to apologize to them weeks, months, nay, years later. Right? This is the energy that gets exhausted by energy saying that you were right and being like, they don't care about being right. They just wish for once someone would say that they're energetically right on the timeline by which they're effectively having to do something. It's what I keep on getting. Like, that's what's so frustrating about the energy. It's not the energy. It's the energy that knows that following their intuition, like, they've got the light on, they know that it's the right direction, but it's often the context of them having to be the person that's energetically fearless or be able to effectively articulate and amplify that in the wake of others' projections or the amplification of other person's, like navigating other person's energetic concerns or worries or fears. So like I keep on getting, it's very like in the non-binary energies, like unconscious, it's a very ironic place because the thing is they've had to do a lot of shadow work in that environment. You know how hard it is when you know that you're moving into the next logical place, but the energy around you is navigating from a point of fear, and then you're trying to effectively proceed forward, and everybody's articulating that you're the energetic source of fear because they haven't healed from their own energetic projections, and then they recognize, or they come into the point of maturation where they understand that there was nothing to fear, but actually the fear was their own projections about their own insecurities, and then someone tries to come towards you and apologize, but you are exhausted from the apology because you could tell that was happening all along. Raise your hand. You know, it's like, this is the energy that's like, that's what I mean. Like, it's just the energy that's like, you know, it's they're used to it. They're used to. And so like and I keep on getting, and the thing is, what's so clear to them, to others, like, it feels like they get exhausted because it's a lot. Every time they experience that, they go, here we go again. Like, here we go again, trying to energetically proceed in what I know is the energetic positive direction. And it's like, it often feels like that space. And I keep on hearing like the hard part with that energy is it's a lonely place to be because this is energy that's very conscientious. They're centered in self and they're not self-centered. And you know why you can tell that they're not self-centered? Because they don't drag others into their manifestation goals unless they're energetically willing. They don't drag energy into those manifestation goals unless they're energetically willing. It is the observation and the understanding of working towards something in a way. And that's why I keep on seeing that. I keep on hearing that energy. I keep on hearing that. And that's what's beautiful about the energy. I see the energy saying they're willing to carry the weight. They're willing to carry the weight of another's reservations, but they will not drag another person into that energetic experience, is what their manifestation goal. That's the energy that says they're willing to carry the weight, which means they're willing to be energetically patient, right? They're willing to be energetically patient towards what it is that they're trying to build upon. But the ability of, because I keep on seeing those modalities or experiences by which they've been hurt before because of another person, potentially like them arriving to a relationship and being the articulation of what another person always claimed that they energetically desired, but instead of receiving the manifestation goal, they just became the source of another person releasing their shadow work. Do you know how painful that is? Do you know how painful that is that someone articulates that they want a manifestation goal with you, and then instead of receiving the manifestation goal, you just become the place where they put all their shadow work? That's why I see a lot of this energy being amazingly talented at the ability to transmute, but also not moving towards another person's shadow work when they recognize that it's existent, right? That is the energy that articulates and says, I can, like the energy says, and I feel like that's what I keep on hearing, they can bear the weight, but they're not in the space by which they're going to, like they don't want to condone another person not doing their shadow work effectively. That, and I feel like a lot of that energy has been hurt before from modalities or experiences where that energetically occurred. And I keep on seeing that they're seeking the energetic counterpart that understands. That's why I keep on seeing the understanding of why that energy is effectively reserved when it comes to building into relationships. And that is the context of which, that is the depth of the wound by which they themselves are working to heal. Bottom of the deck on these readings, masculine energy right now. Woo, Devil card in its reversal. So the Devil card in its reversal speaks to us. When we desire things, it's okay to desire something, but you need to have standards as you energetically desire something, right? A desire is a dream when you put a desire next to standards. That's what a dream is. A desire becomes a dream when you hold a desire in the context of a standard. But when you don't, it destroys. When you have desire without standards, it destroys everything. When you have desire without standards, it destroys everything. Because it is the space by which you articulate or amplify that your desire your desire overextends beyond what anyone else's desires are. Our desires, our dreams are evident in the space by which we energetically share them, and we hold them in accordance with the standards by which we effectively work to attain them. And so I keep on seeing a lot of the energy of the masculine, often experiencing those moments of being like understanding, seeing a pathwork by which they could effectively attain something. But the question you must ask yourself at every moment is, does it align with one's own standards? While for feminine, and I feel like this is a lot of the masculine that recognizes or realizes experiences in the past by which when we don't know ourselves, we don't have any standards. So that's why we see that that's a lot of the masculine that's working now very determinately to understand the self, because the safest thing we can bring to a relationship is standards. And the way that we identify our standards is by understanding who we are and what is energetically important to us. For feminine energy, bottom of the deck right now, 9 of Pentacles in its upright. So for a lot of the feminine energy, this is a lot of the feminine energy work, it being like saying to the self, it's okay to reserve some of the self for the attainment of one's own bliss. That actually, that is the greatest thing that you can do on your healing journey. Because like I said, when you get into the context, feminine is healing from the feeling of self-sacrifice. Because when you get into the context by which you're doing everything for everyone, but you're energetically miserable as you do it, it's just basically like you become a trauma delivery system, right? Like that is you becoming an energetic trauma delivery system, because it's the context by which you're getting something done, but you're also in the space by which the pain that you experience does not rest within the self. It's shared by those around the self. So that feeling, there's like, it creates this energetic confusion point. and builds into a deeper work, because it's the observation of the energy that says that there's no point in doing anything unless one is operating in a state of bliss at the time that you do it. Because if not, you could be doing something, but nobody's experiencing the gift that you're giving them. They're just experiencing the mood or the embodiment that you're holding as you're doing so. Like, you think you're doing someone a favor, but you're really just bringing trauma with you. So that's why, and I feel like this is a lot of the feminine that's saying that the gift, the ability to prioritize their bliss, isn't selfish, it's a virtue. And as long as, right, as long as it's not the only thing that you hold on to, right? As long as it's in proportion, right? As long as it's something that feels energetically reciprocal, something that can feel energetically shared, as long as it's not the only thing you're holding, having that portion of bliss is what allows for the experience of navigating circumstances to feel energetically beautiful. And so I keep on seeing that this is the feminine saying to themselves, not just what can I do, but what can I do it that creates a state of bliss? Bliss for the self, bliss for those around the self. Because when we think about the space by being able to identify that, that is something that, again, like that in itself becomes the energetic dream. That's often why we sometimes have those modalities. If we abandon our bliss and we travel towards our manifestation goals, what often happens? You end up in your manifestation goal and you're saying, why aren't I happy? Well, because you abandoned bliss along the way. Bottom of the deck for non-binary energy. 2 of Pentacles in its reversal. So for a lot of this energy here, we're seeing that this is the energy that says that they've been hurt before. This is the energy that says, like I told you, they've had the bait and switch situation of someone coming towards them claiming that they wanted to fulfill a manifestation goal, but instead they just became the place by which another person let out all of their shadow work. And this is why I see that a lot of that energy works very hard not to let that change the nature of their hearts, but also being very careful and conditional as to who they let near it. That is where we find, that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you'd like to book a private reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you, PM you. I'll never slide into your inbox, tell you I have a very important message that only can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who participated in our recent class on the Sun card. Our next class will be on Thursday, December 18th. At 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Judgment card. If you'd like to become a part of that tarot class program, simply head over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your subscription to my stack gives you access to, as a monthly subscriber, over 9 hours worth of class material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive, and the option of receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me, where I will assess where you are on your tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those goals and relationality to the class and your work going forward. One of the things I try to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my Mystic Meditation articles there, which give you updates on what we've been seeing energetically. I just wrote one recently on this full moon that we just navigated. And I'd like to invite you to go there to explore and to learn more about a special retreat that we'll be hosting in August, where we'll be studying the tarot in the cradle by which the tarot was discovered. Please join me and our retreat team in Florence, Tuscany, and Italy, where we'll be studying not just the context and the cards, but the civilization that allowed the cards to flourish and thrive in the 15th century. I look forward to potentially seeing you there, and you can find more information about that over on my stack. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also for my students seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again